Okay. Okay. So, today's verse is 9:24:59. Akshohininam patibhir asurani palanchanai bhuva akramyamanaya abharaya kritodyama. Word for word translation. Akshohininam, of kings possessing great military power. Patibhi, by such kings or government. Asuraihi, actually demons, because they do not need such military power, but create it unnecessarily. Nripa Lanchanai, who are actually unfit to be kings, although they have somehow taken possession of the government. Prabhupada clarifies everything brilliantly. Bhuvaha, on the surface of the earth. Akramayamanayaha, aiming at attacking one another. Abharyaya, paving the way for diminishing the number of demons on the surface of the earth. Krita udyamaha, enthusiastic. They spend all the revenue of the state to increase military power. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada is Divine Grace. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. Translation. Excuse me. Although the demons who take possession of the government are dressed like men of government, they do not know the duty of the government. Consequently, by the arrangement of God, such demons who possess great military strength fight with one another, and thus the great burden of demons on the surface of the earth is reduced. The demons increase their military power by the will of the Supreme, so that their numbers will be diminished, and the devotees will have a chance to advance in Krishna consciousness. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Parichanaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. Famous verse 4.8. The sadhus, the devotees of the Lord, are always eager to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, so that the conditioned souls may be released from the bondage of birth and death. But the asuras, the demons, impede the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement. And therefore, Krishna arranges occasional fights between different asuras, demons, who are very much interested in increasing their military power. Bhagavad Gita 4.8 is describing how Krishna comes to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants. Okay. The duty of the government or king is not to increase military power unnecessarily. The real duty of the government is to see that the people of the state advance in Krishna consciousness. For this purpose, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13, Chatur Varnyam Maya Strishtam Guna Karma Vidbhagashaha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. There should be an ideal class of men who are bona fide brahmanas, and they should be given all protection. Namo Brahmana Devya Go Brahmana Hidaya Cha. Krishna is very fond of brahmanas and cows. The brahmanas promulgate the cause of advancement in Krishna consciousness, and the cows give enough milk to maintain the body in the mode of goodness. So in the society, it's the duty of the brahmanas to promulgate the cause of advancement in Krishna consciousness. And cows facilitate that by supplying milk. So the cows give enough milk to maintain the body in the mode of goodness. Brahmanas represent the mode of goodness. Um, the Kshatriyas and the government should be advised by the Brahmanas. So we're going down to the mode of passion. That's Kshatriyas, the administrative class. Next, the Vaishyas should produce enough foodstuffs, and the Shudras, who cannot do anything beneficial on their own, should serve the three higher classes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas. So the Brahmanas represent the mode of goodness, facilitated by cows. Kshatriyas represent the mode of passion, and they give protection to this order of society, where Brahmanas are guiding everybody else towards Krishna. And the mixed mode of passion and ignorance is represented by Vaishyas, who are also engaged in this Varnashram Dharma system by producing foodstuffs, by protecting the cows. And Shudras are assisting the higher classes. So this way, everything is aimed at making advancement on the spiritual path. This is the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that the conditioned souls will be released from the material condition and return home back to Godhead. This is the purpose of Krishna's descent on the surface of the earth. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam. He comes to protect the pious, the devotees, and to annihilate the miscreants. Dushkritam. Everyone must understand Krishna's activities. Janma karma chame divyam. If one understands the purpose of Krishna's coming to this earth and performing his activities, one is immediately liberated. That's Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam. Let me read this verse. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha Tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sarjana. Translation: one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, or Arjuna. So, if Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, if one understands the purpose of Krishna's coming to this earth and performing his activities, one is immediately liberated. One does not have to take birth again, and one attains Krishna's spiritual realm. This liberation is the purpose of the creation. So the purpose of the creation is liberation, interestingly enough. And Krishna's descent upon the surface of the earth. That's the purpose. The liberation is the purpose of Krishna's descent upon the surface of the earth. Demons are very much interested in advancing a plan by which people will labor hard like cats, dogs, and hogs. But Krishna's devotees want to teach Krishna consciousness so that people will be satisfied with plain living and Krishna conscious advancement. Let me read this again. Demons are encouraging everybody to work like cats and dogs, but Krishna's devotees want to teach Krishna consciousness so that people will be satisfied with plain living and Krishna conscious advancement. Although demons have created many plans for industry and hard labor so that people will work day and night like animals, this is not the purpose of civilization. Such endeavors are jagato hitaha, that is, they are meant for the misfortune of the people in general. Kshayaya, Such activities lead to annihilation. One who understands the purpose of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, should seriously understand the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement and seriously take part in it. One should not endeavor for ugra karma or unnecessary work for sense gratification. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yad indriya pritaya aproni. Bhagavatam 5.5.4. So Bhagavatam 5.5.4 says, when a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. So Srila Prabhupada says that ugra karma makes one mad. Simply for sense gratification, people make plans for material happiness. Maya shukaya bharam udvahato vimudhanam. Bhagavatam 7.9.43. This verse says, I am not at all afraid, that's Prahlad, says, I am not at all afraid of material existence. So we're not afraid, we're not shying away from it as devotees. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. Wherever a devotee stays, the devotee is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. My concern, Prahlad says, is only for those fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So as devotees, we feel sorry and compassionate for those people who are preoccupied with the material world. They do this because we are all vimudas, rascals. So we make plans for material happiness because we're all vimudas, rascals. For flickering happiness, people waste their human energy, not understanding the importance of Krishna consciousness movement, but instead accusing the simple devotees of brainwashing. Demons may falsely accuse the preachers of Krishna consciousness movement, but Krishna will arrange a fight between the demons in which all their military power will be engaged and both parties of demons will be annihilated. End of the purport. Stop share. Okay. Good morning, everyone who joined later. Bhakti Center devotees, Bhima, Julie, Kartik, Matthew Sava, Susan. Good morning. Welcome. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him again and again and again. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada gave us a beautiful, rich purport, and the verse is essentially describing how Krishna is taking care of his devotees by protecting them from the demons, and Krishna protects us from the demons, us devotees, from the demons by making demons fight each other. In other words, what came to mind when I was reading this, I was thinking, yeah, Krishna is showing us, do not worry about the demons. Do not worry about them. They will annihilate each other. They are here to bother us, like Jai Jagannath Prabhu described yesterday very wonderfully, how everything is meant to push us closer to Krishna, including the trifold miseries. Miseries coming from our own mind, from other people, from this, from climate, things like that. So all these things, demons included, are meant to bring us closer to Krishna. So let's not worry about their affairs, about counteracting them. Our concern should be, as Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport, the devotee's concern is a teaching of Krishna consciousness, propagating, sharing the Krishna consciousness in this world. And as far as demons are concerned, they will, it's a self-contained system. They will take care of each other. It's it's precisely what is happening right now on the big political arena. You know, this 2 or 3 opposing parties are making all kinds of military arrangements to oppose each other and advance their respective agenda. And what is their agenda? Their agenda sounds very noble, sounds very innocent. They want to make this world a better place. They want to make elaborate arrangements for the purpose of flickering happiness. And they are eager to waste their human energy, not understanding our real duty, which is Krishna consciousness, advancement in Krishna consciousness. And this is the duty of the government, Srila Prabhupada says. The government is there to see that everybody is advancing in Krishna consciousness. And for this purpose, Krishna broke down the society into 4 divisions. In other words, and in the purport to the verse of the Bhagavad Gita, 4:13, that describes the division into the 4 varnas and into the 4 varnas. It says that these 4 divisions are the difference between the human society and the animalistic and the animal society. That's the difference, that we can function in this 4 divisions created by Krishna. It says, created by Krishna. So it's Krishna's arrangement that the society, that we have to function according to our duties. Srila Prabhupada says it's our duty. There is a gradation of duties. Our topmost higher duty is to serve Krishna. But then we're in the material world, we're all influenced by different modes of nature, passion, ignorance, goodness in different combinations, and how this highest duty plays out in a life of a particular devotee, that may look different for different people. And this varnashram system, the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, phases in life, occupational duties and phases in life, are there by Krishna's arrangement to facilitate our devotional service, to facilitate our advancement in Krishna consciousness. That's what varnashram dharma is there for. It's not there to facilitate our sense enjoyment or to bring order and peace in the society. That is not possible. Although peace and prosperity naturally follows when one is sincerely and wholeheartedly engaged in devotional service, that is not the goal of varnashram dharma. Varnashram dharma, the purpose of varnashram dharma is to facilitate our attraction to Krishna, our remembrance of who we are as devotees and what we're here to do. Our ultimate duty is to engage in devotional service and study this Krishna consciousness and share it with others, because we are concerned for them, just like Prahlad Maharaj. He was concerned for these fools and rascals who are making elaborate arrangements to become happy and peaceful in the material world. So as devotees, um, we don't become hard-hearted and indifferent to the people who are suffering. We engage with the material world. We're not, Srila Prabhupada said, we're not bhajan anandis. Our bhajan is internal, and it manifests externally as us going out into the society, reaching out to innocent people, and sharing with them this alternative of devotional service, which is an alternative to what the demons are telling them to do. The demons, in the guise of government, are encouraging them to work very hard for material happiness, which will make them mad. Madness is the result of that kind of mentality. It says in the Bhagavatam 5.5.4. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, I want to work hard and become happy and peaceful. He certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. And sinful activity, Srila Prabhupada talks about the 4 regulative principles. We all know what they are. And Srila Prabhupada also talks about, he particularly singles out 3 ways of sinful life: begging, borrowing, and stealing. To live for sense gratification is condemned in this verse, because such consciousness leads one to a dark, hellish condition. Begging means we don't remember that Krishna has set aside a quota for each and every one of us, and then we start going door to door begging our materialistic employers or government or mayor, whoever we think we depend upon. We start begging them for money or shelter, protection, solace. That's begging. Borrowing, when we live beyond our means, that's again stemming, this mentality is stemming from forgetfulness of Krishna. Ishopanishad Mantra 1 says, everybody has his quota, and we should know well to whom everything belongs, Krishna, and we should understand that our quota is there for us. Therefore, there's no need to borrow anything. There's no need to beg for anything. And stealing is the third one. When we appropriate something that does not belong to us, again, this is coming from forgetfulness of Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna, but somehow or other we think that it belongs to us. We claim it unrightfully, and this is called stealing. And the result of this begging, borrowing, and stealing way of life is, Srila Prabhupada says, dark, hellish condition. And the 4 sinful activities are illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. These are the means by which one gets another material body that is full of miseries. The living entity is not really connected with the material world, but due to his tendency to enjoy the material senses, he is put in the material condition. One should perfect his life by associating with devotees. He should not become further implicated in the material body. So the way out, the exit point out from this highway to hell, is the association of the devotees. And it's association of the devotees is a very delicate subject, because sometimes we all have our mind that we've been carrying for so many lifetimes, and only Krishna knows what is being stored in there, what kind of garbage is being stored there. And then we have all these things in the mind from so many lifetimes back. And then when we come in the association of the devotees, sometimes we tend to apply these crazy tendencies, the crazy mindsets and attitudes in our dealings with devotees. We may judge devotees. We may expect something from the devotees according to our uh, according to how we think things should be. So, and this is and this way, instead of bringing Krishna in our dealings with the devotees, we bring our um, materialistic thinking into the association of the devotees, and and then this way, our association with the devotees does not bear any fruit, and it can damage our bhakti if we bring these tendencies to judge, to expect, uh, to size up the devotees. When we do that to the devotees, then it will it will prevent our bhakti from growing. This is a great, great impediment to bhakti when we deal with the devotees, forgetting who they are, forgetting Krishna. And it is says in the Bhagavad Gita, uh, um, chapter 3, verse 39. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So we're all covered in lust, bewildered. So therefore, and then, so we suffer from this madness of lust, and then we blame devotees for it, which is not true, because in the Bhagavad Gita it is described very clearly that our own senses, mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. So therefore, we shouldn't judge, because our madness, our difficulties, our problems are what's the sitting place for that, for all that? It's our contaminated senses, mind, and the intelligence. So in the translation, Srila Prabhupada says, the mind is the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. How can we blame devotees for it? Combined, this constitute bondage to fruitive activity. This is what makes us want to work hard and become peaceful in the material world. What learned man would put faith in the mind? So how can we put faith in the mind when it's a sitting place of lust, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear? So I brought this up because in the course of my devotional service, sometimes, we all deal with other devotees, and sometimes this devotees we're dealing with are not up to our, standard, and are not doing things the way we expect them to do. And then all kinds of emotions arise in our mind. And when we remember that our mind is a sitting place of lust, anger, lamentation, and all kinds of other garbage that we carry from so many lifetimes, then it's easier for us to remember that this is a devotee. And this devotee is in my life by Krishna's arrangement. This is not coming from this devotee, this is coming from Krishna. And this is coming from my contaminated mind. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm here to engage in devotional service and get my mind cleansed of this filth. So I have a devotee in my life. He recently called me up on the phone saying that I call you to be corrected. I'm calling you to be corrected. I live to be corrected. I don't appreciate your corrections enough, he told me. And that was a very good lesson to me, because lately I tend to drift into this mentality of judging, sizing up the devotees, measuring them by my standard. And when the standard is not met, I get critical. Whereas all this, and immediately Krishna arranges things in such a way that whatever I blame other devotees for, I immediately find myself engaging in that same activity. Oh, this devotee is taking forever to respond. He's acting like a prime minister. He has 55 meetings and it takes him forever to respond to my text or call. And then as soon as I think like that, as soon as I become critical like that, towards a devotee, a transcendental agent of Krishna in my life, as soon as I start thinking like that, immediately Krishna arranges things in such a way that I myself am doing that exact activity. And it's a blessing. Thank you, Krishna, for that, for showing me, for putting the mirror in front of my face, showing, don't judge. You're seeing that in other devotees because you have that. Srila Prabhupada's Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would always make this point, how you can only see the shortcomings of the devotee because you yourself have those same shortcomings. Okay. Does anybody have a comment or a question or a reflection? Maybe they wanted to share something about their dealings with devotees. Jamuna Jaya?
When you were speaking about the mind, it just made me think of my two favorite quotes about the mind that I try to remember. One is by Shama, Masla, who used to live at the Bhakti Center, and she once said very famously, you have to remember, you can't believe everything you think. And I always love that about with the mind being the hiding place. And the other thing is, Jai Jagannath once said, he goes, you need to treat your mind like it's a bad neighborhood. Like, you don't go in there alone. Like, don't go in. But if you're going in, don't go in there alone, and take Shastra and Sadhu in association with you. So when you were talking about the mind is this hiding place, I thought of those two things that I really try to think of myself. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jamuna Jaya. Yeah, what an interesting situation to have a bad neighborhood right here. Unbelievable. Yeah, we tend to blame our noisy neighbors or, people that with our neighbors, but it's really here. That's the sitting place for all the disturbances. And the purpose of that is we were talking yesterday, how the purpose of these inconveniences and difficulties is to bring us closer to Krishna, is to keep us sober. When we think that this material world is meant for our enjoyment and our peaceful situation, our little paradise, that's madness. That will bring us to a very dark realm of existence full of madness, lust, lamentation. Okay.
Ananda-bihari Prabhu, I have a question. Because it feels like this class that you're giving is like you've been listening in on my conversations with my husband, because we've been talking about all of these things. Yeah. So please stop doing that. That's creepy. But all joking aside, what you just mentioned about, first off, I love what Jamuna Jai shared about like your mind is like a bad neighborhood. And I know that it came from Jai Jagannath Prabhu. And then you mentioned about like our bad, like neighbors annoying us and things like that. And I have a real life situation where I want to get your insight and that of other devotees on the call as to like, what is Krishna trying to teach us? So we have new neighbors who, when they first moved in, which we usually try to do, we welcomed them. We were very kind, and we gave them a prasad. We gave them there's a local devotee who has a donut shop, and we bought a bunch of donuts that are prasad, and we gifted to them, and we were like, welcome to the neighborhood, da, da, da. And they seemed really nice and everything. And they were really great. They were very understanding about like, oh, is our music too loud? Da, da, da. But the one thing that we're struggling with our new neighbors, who seem very kind, is that they smoke copious amounts of pot, like a lot. Like we can't have our windows open a lot of times because it'll waft into our home, which obviously we don't want. We can't use our porch a lot of times because it smells like it. And we're struggling with that. And you brought up that example, and I'm just like, how much of it is us? How much of it do we do something about that? Like, I guess my question is like, with this kind of real life circumstance, how much do we have to just be like, well, you know, if they're going to smoke pot, that's their thing. And how much do we actually engage in asking someone, hey, you know, it's not just our annoyance. It's like, you know, we religiously are trying not to inhale intoxicants, and we don't want that coming into our home. So I don't know if anybody can help with that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. A great question. I just say something very quickly. Internally, our attitude should be that of compassion and understanding that I own it. It's my thing. I've done something in the past, and it's coming back to teach me a lesson, and we all have some karma to burn. That's our internal attitude. And we also have to pray for these people, keep giving them prasadam, see how this is a confused soul that is in this situation, and what can we do? Give them prasadam, pray for them. That's internal attitude. And externally, there's a wonderful story in the Bhagavatam where there was a snake that was being abused by children, and this snake was becoming a devotee or something like that, and the snake was not sure whether it should bite back or what, and the snake was advised, you just show your teeth. You don't bite, but you show your teeth. So devotees, we're not expected to be to tolerate things that are being imposed upon us unfairly. We're not supposed to tolerate that, and we can show teeth. And with this, I retreat, and maybe a real devotee can advise in this. Shikshashtakam Prabhu Adipusha Prabhu Bhima. Bhima Prabhu, unmute yourself.
Hari Hari. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, this is just for Andrea. I myself find myself, because I have my own business, and I have a couple of employers, or have had a few employees, and you have to take what's given to you, especially in this day and age. And we do, and of course I'm constantly surrounded by these atmosphere, this bad neighborhood that we find ourselves in, very close to home, whether it be our next door neighbors, but most importantly, as Ananda-bihari, or actually was it Jai Jagannath, said, that it's our own mind, which is the worst, which is the bad neighborhood, and our heart, of course. But most devotees, actually almost all, if you're a devotee, you don't have a bad heart. But the mind is a separate thing unto itself. And we don't have to worry about the wafting of marijuana smoke. We should be more worried about, if we ever watch the news, or if we pay attention to what's going on in the world and become worried or fearful about it, the things that get in us and trouble us psychically is so much more important than the molecules of Mary Jane that are on the air. That's not, Krishna doesn't hold you accountable for any of that. But if we should say, dive into some frivolous activity, because I need a break to test. Sometimes I've heard, and even within my own mind, to take the edge off, I'm going to engage in this activity, which I know is frivolous. That is the thing that we should have to worry about. But of course, I think Ananda-bihari said the most important thing we can do is to give them prasad. If they are giving you their prasad, so to speak, you're getting their remnants, just ignore it, because Krishna doesn't hold you accountable for those things at all. But he does. This is a chance for. Remember, like 90% of the people who joined the movement were engaged in intoxication before they became devotees. So always remember that these are future devotees, and they've met you. So their material life is, practically speaking, you can hear the horses banging. I forgot to feed one. Hold on. Hold on here. Anyways, prashad. It just prashad. If they've given you some of their Shiva prashad, so to speak, you give them some of Krishna's prashad, and eventually, they will be more appropriate in their use. All right, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Shikshashtakam Prabhu.
Yes, and you should give them prasadam right after they partake of the Shiva prasad. That's what the Girl Scouts did. They set up their cookie store right in front of the pot dispensaries in California. But that's, prasad is our secret weapon. And, Adi Purusha knows that well. So, but I was just going to say, when you were talking about, when Jai Jagannath was talking yesterday about how in New York, if you want to be alone, you have to go out into the street. And I can understand that in one sense, living in a big city like that is so confounding, you don't want to really, nobody even looks at you when you're walking down the street. But my favorite devotee is Prahlad Maharaj, and you quoted that verse, Naivodije Paradratya Vaitaranyas. I'm simply concerned with the poor fools and rascals who are making plans for happiness. I'm simply concerned with love for them. So if you have love for every living entity, I remember reading something about Prabhupada in California. I think he was driving through a neighborhood. He was quoting some verses, and the devotees who were with him could see how he's so much compassion for. They were like his children when he saw them. So, living in a big city might be like that, but we can't make it callous. Sometimes we see city dwellers are a little bit crusty, compared to other people that are more friendly. They seem to be aloof, but we can never become aloof because we have to follow in the footsteps of great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj and actually have some compassion for the forgetful souls. And if we do that, like you were saying, one point you're making, that we don't try to change the demoniac way of thinking. You can't change anything in the material world by material means, but you make them Krishna conscious. So by changing their attitude and developing a simple way of lifestyle so that they're not making huge plans, so that they're not working hard like an ass. And so, when we do that, you're actually one person by person decreasing the fever of consumerism, which would solve so many problems. It'd solve the wars, it would solve the environmental problem because people would buy less stuff. And it just solves so many problems, that Krishna conscious, simple living, and high thinking. And so that is the way to show real compassion, just by following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj and try to keep in mind, that's one of the austerities of the mind, is actually trying to always show mercy to others. That's the mode of goodness. When you do that, try to show some mercy. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Shikshashtakam Prabhu. And while these devotees were speaking, I was thinking of Srila Prabhupada, who himself, at one point in his preaching in America, had crazy neighbors. One time when he lived on Upper West Side in a little office room, somebody broke into the room and stole his typewriter. And at that point, Srila Prabhupada understood that it was time for him to move to another place. And then at this other place where he moved a loft. There was a loft, like an artist's residence. He also had a crazy neighbor who fought with his wife or something like that. And Srila Prabhupada also moved on after that. So sometimes we may take some external actions up to, moving or calling. Adipusha Prabhu calls the police when when Hell's Angels have their party, right? Adipusha Prabhu, or shooting or fighting. Sometimes we have to do that.
If you're asking me how wonderful is Krishna, we want to throw that in there somewhere. Whenever we have a situation that we don't know how to deal with, we say, Krishna, we're here on your behalf. We don't know what to do, but we'll do whatever you like. And then Krishna shows us. It might require something about apparently aggressive, or it might require tolerance. But when we put it in Krishna's side and say, Lord, what do you want us to do? I'll do whatever you like. These things are not coming from, like you said, not coming from the other people. They're coming from Krishna, helping us to turn toward Krishna. I think Gail wants to say something.
Yeah. Gail, unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I was agreeing with everything that everybody has suggested. I was just hoping to add one other option, which is, a middle road option. Not necessarily just, suck everything up, and not necessarily, get very aggressive, but how about like a middle of the road approach? Like have a very diplomatic conversation with them, letting them know what your needs are. If you don't want to be upfront about your religious policies, maybe you could tell them that, you're allergic to the stuff, or that it really gives you problem physically, or something that can make them, that can inspire some compassion from them, so that would make them want to cooperate with you. Just try, just like you were willing to give the donuts, to extend your friendship, to approach them also in a friendly way, rather than just, tolerating or getting aggressive or moving or something. Just see if you can appeal to their, compassionate side, and see if that works, So, before we give up, I feel like there are middle of the road things that we can try. Hare Krishna.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, Adipusha Prabhu and Gail, they said a very important thing, turn to Krishna. It actually, it may take years to train our crazy, uncontrolled mind to start to go into this algorithm. Something happens, let me turn to Krishna. Let me pray to Krishna about it. Let me see how Krishna can guide me through this situation, instead of getting into the action mode right away. My Guru Maharaj, Sachinandan Swami, he says he has this concept of emotional traffic light, where you first stop, the red light, stop, don't act. Something happens, stop everything. Don't do anything, don't act yet. Then yellow, contemplate, pray to Krishna, explore your options, keep your eyes open for solutions that will be, the problem is coming from Krishna, and the solution will also come from the same place. And then green light, finally, then you act and do the needful, middle road. We always start by talking and seeing if this can be reconciled by peaceful means. And then if it comes down to it, like Srila Prabhupada understood, that this janitor may come again and steal. And this crazy person who was on drugs, when there is addiction in the picture, then the person is not necessarily controlling themselves. So you can't reason with a person who cannot control themselves. So sometimes, and then at that point, some radical, not radical, some strong actions can be taken. And then with the internal attitude of Krishna, thank you for this situation. Thank you for bothering me. Otherwise, I would have become peaceful and forgetful about you. And praying for that person. But externally, we can act boldly. There's no... Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, they had so many court cases with crazy neighbors and landowners. So bold actions, there is room for bold actions in Krishna consciousness. Middle road and bold actions with the internal attitude of, let me benefit this person, let me pray for them, give them prasadam and kick them out, or do the needful. You know?
I was also thinking that, I like the prasadam idea, but it might take a while for that to kick in. So while you're waiting on that, you can try other methods, avenues. But do that also at the same time. More donuts.
Open the window, throw donut in there, close the window. I remember I had my office job that was really, really difficult for me. I didn't like it. I hated it. I wanted to get out of it. And all the brahmacharis at that time that I was living with, they were always telling me, Alex, don't rush, don't do anything without properly thinking it through. Don't quit right away. Think it through. And then at the same time, if you see that it's becoming like a frying pan, that you can chant your japa, you can read, you can concentrate, it's just becoming a very, very bothering situation, like a frying pan, they said this analogy. Then do something, act. But if it's not a frying pan, think it through.
Can I interject Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's slogan here? He says, either you tolerate, you mitigate, or you emigrate.
Nice. Andrea, did we sufficiently address your problem?
I am overwhelmed by the love of the devotees. Just how wonderful is Krishna, as Adipurusha says. Like this, I honestly, whether it gets resolved or not, I feel so cocooned by the community and so taken care of that. In this moment, I don't care if that makes any sense. So thank you so much, all of you.
Nice. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to this class. It's so wonderful to have a lively...
I think Bhima has one more comment there.
Yeah. Bhima is giving his horses prasadam.
Yeah, I don't know. Was my hand up by mistake? It was up by mistake. Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. Wonderful, wonderful. Haribol.
The demigods go to the shore of the Milk Ocean and ask Krishna, what should we do? We don't know whether to go high, low, or in the middle. But if we say, Krishna will do whatever you want, that covers it. Because there certainly are options, but Krishna will show us. It's not an accident. But if we don't turn to Krishna, we just try to figure it out ourselves, or well, maybe it should be, maybe, what do you want us to do? We're willing to do whatever you like. I think Gail has her hand up again.
I think I just never took it down, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. See, Andrea, your real neighbor is Adipurusha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
That's your real neighbor. And that disturbing person is not your neighbor. You are not in the material world, you're in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, it says in the purport, we read it today, a devotee is not situated in the material world. We're situated at Krishna's lotus feet. We're sheltered by our guru, sadhu, shastra, by our sadhana. When we invest in our sadhana, then our sadhana protects us from neighbors, schmeighbors, and all kinds of things that we think are affecting us. Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam, the King of Books, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada, Guru of the Gurus, Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Ananda-bihari Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada.
Kartik says in the chat, thank you. Great conversation. Thank you, Kartik. Thanks, everyone. Hare Krishna.